Hi, in this video I'll talk to you about kindness. Children apparently already come with kindness because, well, it depends if you give them love. Some people say if you breastfeed them and hug them, and then they learn to be kind to other people. For instance, Daniel, told my son, if you learn electricity, you can fix your neighbor's problems, and electricians charge $75 an hour, but you could charge $50 an hour. No. Well, you could charge, what was it? For instance, if you work 1 hour, if you work 2 hours, you could charge them $100, right? And other electricians charge more. They charge $75 per each hour. And then he answered, I would help my neighbors and I would charge them $50. But he probably meant $50 for the 2 hours work that he did. That was very nice. I smiled to myself, and no, I smiled to him, but I thought to myself, my son is a good man. So I believe that children already come with kindness. Another time, when my son was 4 years old, and I know I was about 4 years old because I made the mistake of not talking to my son for the first 3 years, because this spouse, she wouldn't let me participate in naming my son. I said, you're 8 months pregnant, spouse. Please sit down so that we can discuss what we're going to name the baby. And she said, his name is Black. And she walked off. And I felt like throwing a shoe at her. But I didn't do that. And then the day of the hospital where the baby was born, she showed me a piece of paper and it already had the baby's name. And the lady there, she just said, just sign it and it's ready. And I told her, she does not negotiate this spouse. She doesn't let me even think about what name. I mean, I could think about it, but I couldn't because I was so upset that she wouldn't. She's a very strict woman, which I could fix that in another country. Just give her a couple of slaps in the face. Reconsider that, please. But in the United States, it's illegal for a man to hit a woman. I'm not totally against hitting women when they are that disrespectful. I wouldn't leave her bleeding or anything, or just when she snaps back and starts yelling, just give her a quick slap. But that's illegal in the United States where I live. So to me, that's bullying. If you're a woman and you're yelling at your man, you're bullying. So I told her, I don't know if it was a nurse, but let's just say she doesn't even want to sit down to talk about what we're both going to call the baby. So for the first 3 years, I didn't really talk to my son. Yes, I would change him, I would hold him, but I didn't have that connection. And then one day when my son was 4 years old, well, when he was 3 years old, I took him to the doctor. For some reason, I was alone with him, and the doctor, a female doctor, said, how come that boy, we've been here a while and he doesn't say one word? And I looked at the boy for the first time, and the boy looked up at me. And that's when it hit me that I had not spoken to my boy. If it wouldn't have been for that doctor, that wonderful lady, then I forced myself to hug the boy. Because yes, you could hold the baby. Yeah, here, take the baby. All right, you hold the baby. But when you really feel love, I forced myself to hug the boy. I still don't call him by his real name. Um, so when he was 4 years old, what he did was he said, "Daniel," and I said, "Yes," and he said, "I want to be," and he named himself. He was watching a TV show and he liked that name. "Yes, you are," I told him. "That is you." I have met two other people with this name. One just recently, a mechanic. But when I was a kid, I remember this boy that was athletic, and he was also older, and he rode a bicycle and stuff. And my mother bought the bicycle from him. Because back then, if you were too big for your bicycle, you sold it, all right? You didn't, like I see around here in the United States. I see boys that are teenagers and they're really too big for their bicycles, but they're riding them. That wouldn't happen when I was little. Now, if it was that small, you wouldn't ride that small, a bicycle. So ever since then, my son and I have been very close. Ever since he was 3 years old. I've never left his side except for the one time I went to Miami to see the ex-wife, because over here they were serving pork. They were not talking about Jesus. They're not going to talk about Jesus at Christmas time, people. All of these are not Christians. If I say, let's say, a prayer, the stepdad starts saying, "What do you do that for?" And so, like, I don't hang out with those people. So I went to see the ex-wife, but then the ex-wife wasn't there for a bunch of hours, and I had to wait in the parking lot. And then when she did show up, it was Christmas, and she got so many phone calls. She was happy to see me, but she got so many phone calls that she was not sitting down to talk to me at all or anything else. And then she started drinking. She doesn't drink normally, but then she felt dizzy, and she was just passed out on the sofa. And I'm like, this is what I came. Because I remember what this problem was with both of these women that I married. They are not very. They do everything alone. That is what they do. They are very independent. And then the spouse in Miami, the ex-spouse, she was telling one of the friends from work, "You didn't come to pick me up, and my ex-husband is here. If I get pregnant," Pasit, I think is her name. She was from somewhere else, some immigrant. "Then it will be your fault. And if I get pregnant, it will be your fault because you didn't come pick me up." So then, soon enough, as usual with the spouse, she has to go to work. I know it's Christmas and all that stuff, but... And I drove 6 hours, all right? Because when I drive, I don't drive fast. It takes 6 hours to get to Miami. Especially since I got to really pay attention to make sure I get on the road, the right road. So that time I left my son alone. Then I drove back. And the only reason I left him alone because I knew that if I would have taken him with my son, this spouse would have called the cops for kidnapping or something like that. So what happened next, the 7.5 days I was in the hospital jail, this past Christmas, and then on February 13th, 5 days, the spouse told me I was gone. I didn't keep track because I mean over there all you do is sit around and they have the TVs on all the time, and I hate the TV. I mean, who needs to know at 6 o'clock in the morning the expressway is backed up from bumper to bumper? From who needs all of that stress? I mean, I don't drive, and so, and they don't give you the remote control, by the way. So the next thing that happened was those were the only times I've not been home with my son. The 7 plus 5, 12 and a half days plus the 1 day that I went over there to Miami. And so I'm telling you that when my son was 4 years old, he grabbed a knife and he started stabbing Spiderman, which had a lot of cotton underneath. And then I said, we had a childcare back then, and I said, son, why don't we do this to the little boy? And I was just testing my son, by the way, the childcare boy. And my son said, no, a 4-year-old knows not to use a knife against a real baby. And I was so happy my son said that. So when the guinea pig died on Sunday, or we found him dead on Sunday morning, I told the spouse, stop digging. Let the daughter dig and bury this guinea pig. But the daughter was crying so much because she blamed herself that the guinea pig had died because we all forgot the guinea pig outside. Now, I never put him out there, but I always told him, take the guinea pig outside. He would only go once a week. And so it started raining, but before that it was sunny. It was sunny when we went out there. We put him inside. Then it started raining. But the guinea pig was in trouble. Then he didn't survive the night. And my daughter had big red eyes. I mean, all of this red. And I was looking through her black glasses. So she had glasses, black frame, and she just looked terrible. And I said to the spouse, let her dig. So the daughter dig, the past tense, but she did dig, but she didn't dig as much. And then my mother says later to me in the day, she says, look how your son is such a man. He just began digging and digging and digging. My son is task oriented as far as running, not doing dishes, but what sort of digging. He loves digging in dirt and stuff like that. And he reminded me of my grandpa. Oh, by the way, I'm training him to be like my grandpa. My grandpa was a soldier, but he never smiled, and so my son doesn't smile much, and I quit it. I quit smiling to these people because of the way they treat me. I'm happy-go-lucky. Let's go do something. Let's go bike riding. And they're like, they can't stand me because I don't have a job. But I don't have a job because if you have a daughter that takes a shower that lasts half an hour, she's being disrespectful and the water bill's going up. But then if I say anything like I do, I used to knock on the door, and then the mother would say, leave her alone. And because I didn't leave her alone, I got Baker acted, because the day on December, the day before Christmas, I wanted to spend the day with my daughter and teach her about Jesus and teach her Tai Chi Chuan, self-defense. And so I got on the hood of the car and I stopped it from, well, they did drive around the neighborhood, but they didn't drive me to school because then the spouse knew that the spouse was driving, the daughter was in the front seat. The spouse knew that it was not probably illegal. She probably knew that it was wrong to drive me around the neighborhood. And so what happened next was she called the cops because I didn't let my daughter go to school because I wanted to spend time with her to teach her about Jesus and begin our 2-week Christmas vacation. But instead I spent 7.5 days of those in jail, in the hospital jail. All right. All right. So children do come with kindness. And the oldest child sometimes is disobedient. However, this neighbor has 70 years old and she had 3 sons, and she said that when she punished all of them, she would hit them all 3 with a belt so that none of them would laugh. Even only 2 of them did something, so that the 3rd one wouldn't laugh. And then I asked her how much each one of them, and she said the oldest was the most obedient. He was just an old man saying yes and doing everything right. I would only hit him and I didn't want to, but I had to so he wouldn't start laughing when I had to punish the younger brothers. So you can get away with that in the United States because she was divorced. She was a single mom. And she's a strict woman. She yells. I mean, she really yells because I can hear her talking on the phone. And I'm over here in the yard and she's just yelling. I think she's deaf. But then I found out my mother's starting to get deaf also. Alright. Talk to you in another video. Children do come with kindness, provided that you have given them the environment they need when they were babies. I just told you what my son said at 4 years old. No, don't stick a knife in that little boy that we take care of. He didn't speak all of that. He just said, no. So I'm very happy with my son. My daughter gave me a mango yesterday, but I already told you in another video I gave it to the neighbor. Alright, but she's beginning to be nicer. But she also just got back her Kindle, and my son says, why does she get to use it non-stop? I mean, she has watched like 40 episodes of that one show all day long. And I told my son that I'm not allowed to correct my daughter, because if I do, I take away the Kindle or something like that, the spouse, what she does is she Baker acts me. Now, just yesterday the spouse said she was going to punish the daughter for something, right? But she didn't do it. You see? She didn't do it. She didn't do it. My spouse tends to be forgetful and forgiving when it comes to the daughter. Alright. Talk to you later. Be better than I am. Learn from all of these videos.